What's up, everybody? It's Grim, and you're watching Thrash Maniac 99 Wrestling, Gaming, and Metal videos. Hit the real intro.
What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Mosh Pit Reviews, where yours truly, Thrash Maniac 99, reviews upcoming heavy metal or hard rock albums in the calendar year of 2019, and today I am here to review finally, after either some difficulties or stuff going on at home or just being lazy, I'm here to finally review the new album from Overkill called The Wings of War, which I believe is their 20th studio album, if I'm not mistaken. If not, it's very, very close to 20. And this is going to be really fun to talk about. So, for those who don't know, Overkill is a thrash metal band, one of the first thrash metal bands to ever exist, that formed back in 1980 by Bobby Blitz Ellsworth and Dee Dee Verney. Bobby on vocals, Dee Dee on bass, and they're the only original members still in the band to this day. They've had a bunch of different lineup changes, new guitarists, new drummers, the whole 9 yards. And over the years, they've been one of the most consistent thrash metal bands to ever exist since the dawn of thrash metal in the early 1980s. Their debut album, Field of Fire, then to their second album, Taking Over, which is one of their best albums, but their magnum opus is The Years of Decay, which was in '89. But over the last several years, going back to 2010 with their album Ironbound, they've been putting out very good modern-sounding thrash metal albums. And what I mean by modern-sounding, more in the vein of the production, Ironbound, and then, of course, The Electric Age. The last album I talked about of theirs, White Devil Armory, was really good. Didn't listen to too much of the Grinding Wheel, but here we are with The Wings of War. Now, the opening track, Last Man Standing, has this almost industrial, electronic kind of introduction before it just goes full-on thrash metal after the fact. Now, this album has a lot of different things going for it, whether it be in the beginning of songs or in the middle of songs. Like, for instance, the second track, Believe in the Fight. Around the middle portion of the song, it gets into this more kind of clean guitar passage before it goes back on into full-on distorted thrash. The opening riff of Head of a Pin sort of reminds me of listening to bands like Judas Priest. After all, Priest is one of Overkill's biggest influences. But I gotta tell you, the real big sneak surprise on this album was the track in the middle, track 5, Distortion, which is the longest song in the album at 6 minutes 9 seconds. The beginning of this song, now I want you guys watching this review to go and do an A-B with this. Listen to the beginning of Distortion from Overkill off of Wings of War, and then listen to the beginning of the song Little Julie by Sarcophago off of the Laws of Scourge album. Very, very similar, and I thought to myself, hearing this beginning, I'm like, did my iTunes screw up and go to Little Julie? And no, that was the beginning of that song, and it was I almost thought to myself, with that beginning sounding the way it was, I was thinking to myself, are they going to try to do a kind of a ballad type of song? No, after that beginning, full-on, like, mid-tempo, almost groove metal type of song. Like, they have dabbled in that mid-tempo variety of their thrash metal sound, particularly on albums like Necroshine, particularly in the late 90s, early 2000s time period. But that was a real big sneak surprise because I'm a huge fan of The Laws of Scourge by Sarcophago and love that album to this day. So hearing the beginning of the song Distortion really made me think of that song, Little Julie. I'm telling you guys, do an A-B on that. The opening to A Mother's Prayer has this awesome bass opening in which Dee Dee Verney, I've got to say, Dee Dee Verney is one of the most underrated bass players in the history of not just thrash, but heavy metal as a whole. I would put him in the top 20 greatest bass players in the history of heavy metal. Even though he plays with a pick, it's very thick sounding and very soupy sounding. And it just Dee Dee Verney's fucking awesome. But of course, a lot of these tracks towards the end have these like really odd introductory points. Like the song Where Few Dare to Walk. It has this almost kind of Metallica-esque clean guitar beginning. And then Hole in My Soul, the closing track, has a slow, prodding, brooding type of intro before it really begins to punch you in the face. Really, this whole album is all about you getting punched in the face musically. This album has a lot of fast tunes, but of course some good mid-tempo stuff. However, lyrically speaking, it's kind of on the same level as a band like Judas Priest with the more heavy metal style lyrics, or in this case, stuff about wars, kind of taking a little bit of a page from bands such as Warbringer or Havoc, but not nearly as political. It was more almost kind of fantasy war type stuff. It's kind of hard to explain. But nonetheless, the album flows together very nicely. Bobby Blitz's voice, while it has aged over time, he still has that shrill to his voice. Even at probably now 60 years old now, Bobby Blitz is still one of the most charismatic vocalists and frontmen in the history of heavy metal. So, my score for The Wings of War by Overkill, it's a very, very, very good album, but it's not their best album of this decade. It's definitely more on the lower end of this decade's releases for Overkill, but it is still really good thrash metal. Highly recommended for anyone who's a fan of Overkill, which is why I give this album a 32 out of 40. Nothing bad on this album, so there you have it. Wings of War gets a 32 out of 40. Now, again, I apologize for it taking so long to get this review up. I was going to do it on Friday, but I was just really tired. Same with Saturday. I was going to do it yesterday, but power went out because of a crazy windstorm that came through here, and we didn't get our power back on until about 6:30, 7 o'clock last night, and the power went out at about noon. So yeah, we were left bored for quite a while here yesterday. So, again, I apologize, but as far as the next episode of What Else Came Out This Week, it will be out sometime between tomorrow and Thursday for sure. And in that episode, oh boy, it's going to be packed, where I'm going to talk about Spirits of Fire, Rhapsody of Fire, Dream Theater, and Candlemass. 4 pretty big releases for the 22nd of last week, but things are going to get a lot more calmer as far as reviews go, because the next couple months don't seem to be all that busy, so definitely going to get more out for you guys. But until next time, peace out, and I will see you soon.